this webinar on Art of Picking Numbers. Before starting off, I would like to know if you can hear me clearly or not. If you can you please mark yes? Can you put a yes in the chat box very quickly so that I know all of you can hear me clearly and I can get started? I would request all of you who can, if you can hear me clearly, please mark yes. Okay, so I can see a few yeses, so that's great. Okay, so once again, welcome to this webinar on Art of Picking Numbers. My name is Saqib and I am going to be your host today. I am the lead product manager at GMAT and I'm basically the principal architect of the course that you see on the platform. Apart from that, I have about 10 years of experience in the ed prep industry, and I love teaching quant. And I like taking these webinars also where I get the chance to share the best ways of solving question. So I hope you enjoy the session today. Now, a lot of people are still joining in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, I'll take a minute to talk about similar webinars that we have been conducting. So this one's on YouTube, but for a long time, since June, we have been conducting a series of webinars where we are trying to help students learn most of the things where they usually face problem, be it quant or be it verbal. And this is they're 20, and these are all free webinars, by the way. And since we have been doing it since June, we are already done with about 10 of the webinars. So we have conducted a few sessions on factors, multiples, art of picking numbers. Now, this is a session that we have done it before, but not on YouTube. And since people liked it, so we thought, why not do it on YouTube also for a different set of audience. And as you can see, we have conducted a lot of webinars, some in quant, as you can see, and there are a few on verbal also. As you can see, we have conducted the sessions on pre-thinking, where a lot of people face problem. And also we had a few sessions on how to guide students to score 720. Now, these are just 10 that we have done so far. If you're interested in attending the remaining webinars, if you haven't done these, if you're seeing it for the first time, then I would strongly suggest that you attend these webinars. If you're wondering how you can do it, well, you can use this link, and I'm sharing it on chat very quickly. Uh, Here is it. All of you must have got it. So you can use this link basically to register for these webinars. These are all free webinars. As you can see, we cover most of the important topics, be it statistics, or art of if you're struggling in say reading comprehension, if you want to improve, if you're struggling in say geometry, basically any topic which we feel you might be facing problem in, we are conducting a webinar on it. So you can register it just once, and we are going to send you the link for all these sessions whenever they take place. Okay. So that's about these webinars. Let's talk a bit about how am I going to conduct this webinar. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all talk about the main thing for which every one of you are here, how to pick numbers. And that's going to go about for 60 minutes. And then I'm keeping about, say, 10 minutes to 15 minutes for if you have any Q&A session, if you have any questions regarding the general quant prep or regarding this session also, I will be more than happy to help you. Apart from this, if you're attending the session fully, then you will also, and I would request you to wait till the end of the session, because I will also be giving you access to a free quiz on our platform, that is GMAT Quiz. That will be based on this webinar itself. So you can attend this webinar, and if you want to apply whatever you have learned today on some other set of questions, then I would say this would be a good opportunity to do so. And since I'm talking about GMAT Quiz, and I know some of you might be seeing or hearing about it for the first time, so I'll just take a minute to talk about GMAT Quiz, and then we'll jump right into the session. So those of you hearing us about the first time, well, guys, GMAT Quiz is basically, frankly speaking, the world's only personalized course. Now, most of you who are starting a prep, or those of you have used some resources, you might have realized that during your prep phase, when you're looking for a study plan, right? The plan that you get from most of the plan that you get are usually personalized. They are not personalized plan. You get very static plans, right? Right. Say for example, 3 month plan or a 6 month plan, something like this. But you never get a plan which is personalized to yourself. What if you can complete it in, say, 1.5 months, or you need, say, 9 months to complete it, or 8 months? You don't get a personalized plan anywhere, but the plan that we create on our course is truly personalized. Okay, and we also provide you real-time improvement. Say, for example, if you take a quiz and if you are not doing well, say, for example, then we will provide you additional modules then and there only, additional quizzes also to help you do well in it. And we also provide dedicated mentors. So, for example, if you are working with us, you can talk to me directly as a student. Those of you are students, they know that. You can set up a session with us and talk to us whenever you want. So, if you're interested in knowing more about us, I would request you to go check the website. If you want to talk to us and know more about us, then what you can do is you can set up a session with us, and I am sharing the link of that with you. This is the link. You can this is the Calendly link if you want to talk to us regarding our course or anything in general also about GMAT prep. Feel free to set up a session with us, and will be definitely help you out. I can see a question where, can you show the timetable again? Well, I'm going back again for just 10 seconds to show you the timetable. But uh, this is the next set of 10 webinars that we are going to conduct. Okay. If any of you want to look at the old webinars, guys, the ones that you missed, the first 10, if you missed, if you want to look at anything like related to CR or verb tenses, then you can do that too. I am sharing a YouTube link out here. You can use this YouTube link to access all these webinars. So whenever a webinar is done, we put up the recording of it on on this YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to it, by the way, so that in future, whatever webinars we are doing, if you want to know more about it, if you want to go through it, you can always look at our YouTube channel and do it. Okay. With that, guys, I think it's time that we should jump right into the session for which you are here, which is the art of taking numbers. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all talk about, I'm going to tell you when you should pick numbers and why you should pick numbers. And I'm going to do this with the help of a few questions, because I believe when you see those, the when and the whys in the form, in a real question when we are doing it, then I think it will make much more sense to you, and you will be able to appreciate it much more when you see it in action. But before starting off this, you should understand in which cases can you pick numbers, because majority of time, the question that I get from most of these students is that, hey, I've been trying a certain cases in a particular question, but I did not get the answer, or I took wrong cases, right? I even get questions like this, that I don't know what numbers to take, or I am not even sure why should I take numbers, or is in this question, can I take numbers or not? Now, how many of you fall under this category? If you fall under this category, you can type yes and let me know what are your thoughts on it. Have you been in such a situation where you look at a question, you're tempted to take a number, but you're not taking it because you're not sure what numbers to take, or maybe you're not even sure whether you can take numbers to solve the question or not? If you fall under this category, guys, I would like you to put in your thoughts in the chat box, in the comment box, basically. Just tell me, have you ever been in such a situation? Okay, I'm waiting for some comments. Okay, I can see a few yeses. Okay, Nisha says some, Himanshu says yes, Arjun says yes, Asta also says yes. Well, guys, before getting into this, I want to put a disclaimer, okay? That once you learn whatever I'm talking about here, don't apply them everywhere. So apply it where I'm talking, where you should apply it, okay? Some people get tempted to apply it wherever they feel they want to do it, or when they're not solving the question. That is not how you should do it. What I do is, what I've realized is that in GMAT, what happens is, that there are certain specific type of questions where you can be 100% sure that you can take numbers. Okay, and you can solve the question taking numbers. Now, whether taking numbers will simplify your life or not, well, that's a totally different question, thing altogether. I can see someone saying that they tried taking numbers, but it takes some time, and I agree with that. In certain questions, you can use the methodical way, you can use the way of taking numbers, but in certain questions, taking the methodical way is much more important, much better than taking numbers. So when do we take numbers? Well, I feel that there are certain questions like a must be true kind of question where you know the answer will definitely come. In those kind of questions, picking numbers is not a problem. And what do I mean by such questions? Well, if I have to give an example, I would say you must have seen questions like this, right? Where they tell you, hey, if say n is an integer, what is the remainder when say n squared plus 12 is divided by say 5, and they'll give you some more information. Obviously there will be much more information, but using that information or an integer or a prime number, something like this, they will give you a prime number greater than 5, greater than 6, and they will ask you to solve the question. Now in this cases, you know the answer will come because there are 5 options with distinct numbers. In such cases, if you know what type of numbers you need to pick, like for example a constraint, prime numbers greater than 5 or anything that is given, your answer will definitely come. You should use it. Okay, and that brings me to the second scenario because 1 and 2 are kind of related. So if you're given a question which limits your number of cases or which tell you that, hey, the values will fall within a particular range, like for example, if they tell you, hey, if x lies between 5 and say 25, how many numbers, how many values of x have factors greater than say 3, something like this, okay, or 5. Just a random example, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you know the cases are less, 5 to 25 is still a lot. If it's like 5 to 10 or 5 to 7, where you know that you only need to check say 5 to 6 cases, in those cases it's okay to take numbers. But again, keep in mind, if you have a 5 to 100, I would never recommend taking it, frankly speaking. Okay, if it's a big range, a methodical way always works. So this is a kind of a call that you should be able to take. That is the case limited like 5 to 6 cases. If yes, take numbers. If it's like say more than 10, 12, don't take it. Doesn't make sense. You'll waste time. The third is one of my favorites, I would say, because I've seen GMAT test a lot on this. Questions which are basically involving either ratio or percentages. Now, especially in DSPS both, where in fact there are a lot of questions in percentages and ratios where picking numbers is totally okay. And I'm going to talk about it with the help of a question, show you exactly when, after looking at a question of a percentage or a ratio, you can definitely decide, hey, I can use numbers, not a problem, let me take it. And I also will tell you how you can pick your numbers. So I'll be taking a time and work question also, where I'm going to talk about how do you pick numbers in case of a time and work, how do you pick numbers in case of percentages. I'm going to talk about both these cases. Lastly, the questions which involve power and ranges. Now, if some of you have gone through algebra module, maybe especially exponents and inequality, you will realize that when you're dealing with number line and powers, most of the powers follow a very symmetrical, a very standard approach. What I mean by that is, say, for example, if I have a number line and I talk about, and I'm taking a very easy case to help you understand. If I take any number here, which is greater than say 1, let's say if I take 2, I know all the powers like this, 2, 2 square, 2 cube, they'll be always be following this pattern. And it's not only for 2, any values which is greater than 1 will follow the same pattern, right? Similarly, there's a specific pattern for all the powers that fall under 0 to 1, a specific pattern which falls under 0 to -1. So if you understand these patterns properly, and how they work, then you will definitely be able to pick up the right numbers, or you can even recognize what numbers to take. So for example, if you see x squared is greater than x cube, and if you don't want to solve it algebraically, okay, you want to solve it say using numbers, then if you understand the number line properly, how the pattern works, and if you know that the pattern is universal across each and individual range, you can take numbers very quickly, put it and check it if you want to. So these are some of the cases, I would say, and some of the most frequently used cases that you'll come across in GMAT, where picking numbers is totally okay. And I would say this forms a big chunk here, the scenario 3, and I would say scenario 2 also, where limited cases and questions involving ratio and numbers, ratio and percentages can help you solve the question very quickly. Okay, so I've been talking for a long time. If you have any queries so far, please feel free to ask. But at this point of time, this is what I wanted to put across. Don't try and take numbers in each and every case. Okay, whenever you're taking a number, look at the question and see what kind of information is given. For example, if the constraint is given or a ratio, it's a ratio question, what kind of a question is, and then depending on that, you can decide when to take numbers and when you cannot take numbers. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically I have about 8 questions, and depending on we have about 1 hour to go through these questions. So I'm expecting at least I'll be able to do 6 of them. So anything between 6 to 8 I'll do. What I'll do is I'll give you a question. Okay, you know the agenda of the session, right? It's how to pick numbers. You try and pick numbers and see whether you can do it or not. Okay, and once you're done with the questions, I'll give you about 2 minutes to do it. Okay, 2 minutes to solve the question. If you are able to solve it in 2 minutes, then well and good. If not, then you can follow the solution that I'll be showing you. Now, while showing the solution, I will be showing you very clearly, I'll be showing you, highlighting the things that you can look at in each and every question to identify when to pick numbers, and if you're picking numbers, what kind of numbers you need to pick. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. I'm going to show you a question in the next screen. I'll give you 2 minutes to solve it. Our small request here is that please don't post your answers before 2 minutes. So once I say, hey, the time's up, then only I would request you to post your answers on the comment, so that other students who are trying it, they don't get biased by your answer. Okay, because I've seen a general trend. If somebody posts a D and I get a series of Ds, series of Bs, I don't want that. Okay, so after 2 minutes, I'll say, hey, time's up. You post in your responses, and then I'll discuss and I'll show you how to solve the question. Okay, so I hope this is perfectly clear. If it is, please respond yes, and I will give you the first question. Hey Joydeep, I am going to cover that in this session. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about when to pick numbers, when to solve backwards. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I see it's fine with everyone. So let me give you the first question, guys. So you should be able to see the first question on the screen. I will give you 2 minutes to solve the question. And once I say the time's up, you can post in your responses. All the best, guys. Another 30 seconds, guys. And after 30 seconds, you can start posting your responses. Okay, 10 seconds. Okay, guys, so those who are done with the question, you can start posting your responses. Okay, I can see someone saying A. What about the others? Okay, most of you are saying A. I've got an E, but I can see that most of you are saying that the answer should be A. Okay, well, so very good. I can see that most of you are getting the question correct. I started off with an easy one so that I can help you understand how are we going to do this. Okay. Now, see, in this question, once again, I would want you to notice small things which can help you understand what numbers to take. First thing is, if you'll notice, the question is saying if P is a prime number. Okay. If P is a prime number and they're asking for which of the following must be true. Now, this is something which I call a constraint, information that can help you understand the kind of numbers that limits and understand the kind of number that you can take, and it also limits the numbers that you can take. So I don't need to worry about all the numbers, I just need to worry about prime numbers. Now in GMAT, what you'll see is that most of the questions which are based on prime numbers, they broadly fall into two major categories. Okay, uh, prime numbers questions, they kind of sometimes mostly test you either on even odd nature. So for example, you should know that 2 is the only even prime number, and after that, all the other prime numbers are all odd. That's one thing that they test you on. The other obviously is based on questions which are based on factors, like how many total factors, how many even odd factors, and those kind of things. And you should be able to understand these two kind of categories and which one to use. So in this case, I can see, skim through these statements, and I can see they are talking about whether it's divisible or not, and the numbers are kind of 2, 6, 16. So you can think, okay, let me think in terms of let me take numbers, and when you're taking numbers, make sure that you consider both the categories, even numbers and odd numbers. So even prime numbers and odd prime numbers. You can take just one. Obviously, in even you can take only one. In odd, if you want to take one, you can take one. If you want to check more, you can take 3, 5, 7, two more also and check it very quickly. Okay, so you go to the first statement, you see p square minus p is divisible by 2. Now, if you don't want to simplify it because it's a easy number expression, you can directly put it. First of all, put it for even number. So you put 2, and let me write this slightly here. P square minus p. If you put 2, you'll get 4 minus 2, which is 2. And p square minus 2 is divisible by 2. Is this statement true? Well, for an even number, it is definitely true because 2 by 2 is completely divisible. So that works. But don't stop there. You need to also check for an odd number. Do check it, because when they say must be true, it means that it has to be true for all prime numbers. That's a very important thing that you need to keep in mind. Some people just check one case and they move on. Don't do that. Take an odd case also. So for example, p square minus p, 9 square, 3 square minus 3. So 9 minus 3, which is 6. Notice even 6 is divisible by 2, right? So this statement you can say is must be true because it works for an even prime also, it works for an odd prime also. Okay, guys. One small thing, this question can even be solved how should I put it, methodically also, without even doing all this stuff. And I want to talk about it because I think it's a good learning, because these kind of expressions are very much tested on the GMAT a lot. So whenever you see p square minus p, take p common, and you'll come across this expression. And let me rearrange it a bit. Let me write it like this. Now notice these are two consecutive numbers. P minus 1 and P are two consecutive numbers. And if you take any two consecutive numbers, one of them is always even, the other one is always odd. This is the kind of information, if you remember, then you can save time in the exam. Taking numbers is not a problem. Even this was very fast. But if you remember this, you can look at it, take common, make inference, and move on saying, hey, this has to be sufficient. I hope this part is clear. Two consecutive numbers, take anything, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5. You'll always notice there's always one even number always with you. So the product will always be divisible by 2. That's an inference that you can make and solve the question. Okay. Now, let's look at the second statement. The second statement is p square minus 1 times p plus 3. Once again, I'll put an even number. I'll put 2. If I put 2 here, I'll get 4 minus 1. And here I'll get 2 plus 3. Okay, 2 plus 3 is 5. 4 minus 1 is 3. Now notice I'm getting 15. And 15 is not divisible by 6. Since it is not divisible by 6, you don't need to check for an odd number. You can simply say, hey, this is not working for even numbers because I'm looking for must be true. If it fails for one, I don't care whether it works for the other or not. Because as I told you, it has to work for when they say must be true, it must work for all the prime numbers. And it's not working, so you'll say this is not sufficient. And this is not true. You can go to the last one, and you can do the same thing. You put 2 here, 4 minus 1, 4 minus 9, okay, 3 minus 5. You can notice even this is not divisible by 16. Okay, so you can say even this is not true. Now there's another way. Obviously, we are talking about art of picking numbers. I hope you have understood that when you're taking numbers, take both of them. Thankfully, in this case, both got eliminated when putting 2 only. But if either of them would have been sufficient for 2 or correct for true or true or would have been must be true for the prime number 2, then you should have tried for the odd prime number also. But if it gets false for one of the prime numbers also, you can eliminate it. Now, the other way to think about it, if you want to talk about a methodical way of solving it, you could have said it in this way. Those of you who know even odd concept, you could have said that if I put an even number here, even prime number, and an even prime number here, okay, notice even minus odd would give you odd, and even plus odd will also give you odd. If the product is odd times odd is odd, it will never be divisible by 6. This is never possible. So if you want to go through the methodical way, if you're kind of skeptical that, hey, this won't work, if this happens, obviously you can use it as I told you, then this is another methodical way in which you could have eliminated the second statement. And the same goes for the third one. Notice they're almost identical. I've just replaced plus 3 with minus 9. So here also you would have got even minus odd, even minus odd. So this would also have been odd times odd. This is odd. So you could have said, hey, odd number is never divisible by 16. So this is also not correct. So I hope this, guys, this is perfectly clear. So if you're using numbers, make sure when you're testing for prime numbers, make sure that you test for both even and odd prime numbers. Don't just check for one of them and move ahead. That would be wrong. And if you can use a methodical way to solve the question, like this is one of the questions where both methodical way and taking numbers works. Both are pretty fast and you can get your answer very quickly. So in this case, the answer would be option A, 1 only, which almost all of you got correct except for 1 or 2. So if you have any doubts, guys, feel free to ask. If there are no doubts, then I'm going to move on to the next question. Any questions at all? So I'll summarize it. Number 1, make sure that if you see a constraint like a prime number, take even and odd both prime numbers to check your constraint. Not only for this question, any question where you're testing numbers. Don't just check for one of them. Number 2, if you can think about it, think in terms of even odd. If you're done with the even odd video lesson, then you can use that concept also to quickly eliminate option. This is one of these questions where both numbers and concepts work really well. Okay, so yes, Shine, in this question, methodical works, methodical approach is also good. I won't say fast, it depends on how good are you with calculation. Okay, so if you're good with calculations, the methodical way would definitely work. I just wanted to show both of you, both these methods, that's all. Yes, Joydeep, that's absolutely what the point is. If you know the concept, see, in my experience, whatever I've seen so far in GMAT, about 90% questions can be solved without taking numbers at all, frankly speaking. The moment you use numbers is mostly when you're not sure about the approach or there are too many variables and you might get confused. Okay, I hope that part is clear. Okay, I have a question which says, Ashwin says, if the question says could be true, how can we approach this question? Okay, when the question says could be true, what they're trying to say is it can be true for any one of the cases. If even if it's true for one of the cases, you will say it could be true. Like for example, if I look at the statement again, second statement, okay, I know it's not working for an even number, right? It's not working for even number. So when you have p square minus 1 times p plus 3, and if you want to see for odd numbers, you need to put some values and see whether it is divisible by 6 or not. If it's true for any of the odd numbers, then you could have said it's true. And I'm talking about a case where it is could be. Very rarely do you get a could be question. Frankly speaking, most of the questions are must be true. But if you get a could be true, and if it's not working for an even number as we saw, put an odd number and check it. So if you put 3 here, you'll get 9 minus 1, 3 plus 3. Notice this is 8 times 6. This is divisible by 6. So you'll say this could be true for a prime number. Okay, so I hope this part is clear, Ashwin, how you need to go about doing it. If you get a could be true, you need to check at least one case possible or not. If it is possible one of these cases, then also it will work. Gypsy says no need to check for 3. Yes, that's absolutely true, but I just wanted to show you all the cases. That is why I showed it. Otherwise, you're right. The moment you see 2 is not working, you can mark your answer as A. Definitely, you're absolutely correct out there. Okay, so I don't see any more questions in the chat box. So what I'm going to do is I am going to move to the next question, guys. Okay, so here's the next one. Again, I would give you 2 minutes and kindly don't post the answer before 2 minutes. I'll let you know when you can post it. The question should be on your screen in about a minute. Okay, so I hope you can see the second question. Guys, I would request you to wait a bit. As I told you, once I'll tell you the 2 minutes are over, then only you should post it. So those who have already done it, it's okay. but you still have about 30 seconds. Ten seconds more, and then you can start posting your answers, guys. Okay, now you can start posting. So those of you are done, please post in your responses. I can see a few B's, a few A's, some D's. Interesting. Anyone else? Guys, I would request you to participate. It's okay if you get the wrong answer. That's totally fine. But try it out. In GMAT, you'll have to mark something, right? Some answer or the other you'll have to mark, even if you are not getting it. Okay, I can see a lot. I can see a lot of A's now. Interesting. Some D's. Joydeep says B's. Okay. Gypsy says D. Sunmeet says A. Okay, so what I've understood is I've got almost everything. Thankfully, nobody has posted an E, but I think I have everything. I have some A's, some B's, a lot of A's, in fact, and a few D's. Okay, now see, this is one. The reason for behind giving this question is, guys, to put across two things. Obviously, the one is to tell you when to take numbers, how to take numbers, right? But the second thing is also how to translate a question properly so that you don't make a mistake. Okay, that's also an important skill that you should know. If you're not reading properly, there is a high chance that you may end up making a mistake. Okay, I have an E also now, as I can see in the comments. Okay, Anile says two important keywords, residents and unemployed. Okay, great. So guys, let me talk about it. Okay, I can see some responses. Most of you are still saying A, but let's see what the correct answer is. Now, when you read a question, and I'm going to read it first, and then I'll show you how I do it. But notice in this question, they're talking about 4/5 of the residents, 3/4 unemployed, 75% residents were employed. Okay, I'm going to read it properly. Don't worry. I'm just showing you some data points. Okay. And notice they're asking you what fraction of residents. So the question is asking you about a fraction. So the rule is something like this. If every information that is given in the question is in the form of a fraction or a percentage, and say kind of a ratio also, understand percentage fraction, they're interchangeable. 75% basically means 3/4, right? 75% is 75/100. So if all the information that is given in the question is in the form of a fraction percentage ratio, and the final answer also, they are asking in terms of say percentage or a fraction or something like that, or a ratio, whatever, then in that case, feel free to use numbers. Don't be scared. Don't think twice. Hey, will I get a wrong answer? Will I get a correct answer? Don't worry about it at all. That's the main thumb rule that you need to keep in mind. Look at the question stem, go about it, reading it, jot down the important information. And the moment that you see that all the information that is given in the question is the form of percentage, fraction, and the final answer is in the form of percentage, fraction, use a number. Okay, so that's one of the most important thing that you need to keep in mind. Now, I'll read it again and I'll show you if I was solving this question, how would I have done it? So here I'm given, according to a survey done in the year 2010, in a city C, 4/5 of its residents were born in the city C. So city C has a certain number of people, okay, let's say I'm thinking like this, and they're saying 4/5 of it, really sorry, let me write it a bit properly. 4/5 of it, they were born in the same city, born in city C, in the same city. Okay. Now, of the residents who were born in city C, okay, now they're talking about these people, 3/4 were unemployed. Now, if I'm doing the question in a live, what I would have done is the moment I would have read this, there's a thing that you need to understand, a pattern. What the pattern is, if you're given something whole, say, okay, some full, some information, like in this case, people, and you're seeing that it is getting broken down into two parts. Here in this case, it is born, and unborn, not born, basically. And then if you see, there is if whatever entity that you have here, if they are further getting segregated into two or more parts, then you should be able to understand that you either need to draw a tree or you need to draw a matrix to solve the question. So here you can say that this bond have been divided into employed and unemployed. So I get this question a lot. Hey, when do I use a tree diagram? When do I use a matrix? Well, matrix tree diagram are almost the same, by the way. You can use either of them interchangeably. So if that is one of your doubt, I just wanted to clear it now only. Second thing is, when you're reading a question, make sure that you look for this pattern. If the first thing is getting segregated into two parts, and whatever has been segregated, if it gets divided into again two parts, that's a clear-cut indicator that you need to use either a tree or a matrix to solve the question. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. So once I read this, I understand I need to make a tree. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll write down here, okay, number of people. I don't know how many there are in C. 4/5, I'll write it here only so that you don't make a mistake. Born in C. Okay, so obviously 1/5 are not born in C. Now they're saying of these people, 3/4 are employed. So I'll write 3/4 employed. The remaining 1/4 are not employed. Okay. Now they're saying if only 75% of the residents were employed. Now notice this is 75% of all the people. So they're talking about this. So make sure that you write this information properly. Hey, 75% of this are employed. 75% of P, 75% of P, this is employed total. Make sure that you write down properly so don't make a mistake. Okay. Once you're done with that, read what you are asking. What fraction? Now I'm looking for a fraction, and let me write it here because most of you made a mistake here. I'm sure you did all of this properly. What fraction of residents who weren't born in C? So now they're talking about people who are not born in C. So not born in C were unemployed. So I'm looking for number of people, the fraction out of this. Now fraction of something means that needs to come in the denominator, and of that fraction we are looking how many are unemployed. So basically this also gets divided into employed and not employed, and I'm looking for this only. What is the ratio of, let me write it as unemployed here. We are looking for UE by N, not NB in C, not born in C. This is what we are looking for. If you make a mistake here, most of you will end up marking answer as either A or B. That's a 99% chance that you will do it. Okay. Now I'll use what I've told you. I can see every information is in fraction. So I'll start off my question saying, hey, let this be 100. Okay. If this is 100, I'll write this very quickly because this is easy to do. I'll say total 75 are employed, total out of 100, all employed. Okay. 4/5 are born in city C. That means 80 people. 4/5 of 100. Keep this in mind. This is 80. 1/5 are not born, so obviously 20 are left. They're saying 3/4 of 80 are employed. So I'll say 3/4 of 80, which obviously is 60, are employed. Keep in mind these are employed. I also know 75 are total employed people. Total are 75 employed. If 60 are employed here, then the remaining 15 that I have, they must be these people only because there's nowhere else to put it. So I'll say this is 15. There are total 20 people who are not born in C. 15 are employed. So the number of people who are not employed is 5. And this is the fraction that I'm looking for. 5 divided by 20, which is 1/4. So the answer in this case would be option D. I've spoken a lot. Let me look at the comments a bit, but feel free to ask any questions that you want to ask. Yes, it's up to you. I can see a question which says, since it's a fraction question, taking the total as 100 would be way faster than the tree diagram. See, this is just a way of segregating the information, Eastgate. Okay. If you don't want to segregate it in a tree diagram, if you think that you can write it in bits and pieces and get the answer, totally okay. Okay. Some people like to solve this question in the form of metrics also. Make a table, 2x2, 3x3, and solve it. That is also fine. The main thing that I wanted to put across is two, that you can make a table or a tree diagram. And number one is, if you see a question which is based on fractions, percentages, feel free to use any number that you want to, 100, 200, 300. doesn't matter, you will get the correct answer. Final information, which is the most important information, is read very carefully, because even if you take numbers, even if you follow a methodical way, if you don't read the last part properly, you'll still make a mistake. So like for example, in this question, we are saying what fraction of residents were born in city C, right? What fraction of residents? So you should be able to translate this properly. Okay, I'm looking for a fraction. I'm looking at with respect to the people who are not born in city C, and out of those people who are not born in city C, I'm looking for people who are unemployed. Now the mistake most of you would have made is you read unemployed, you thought it's 5, you took 100, and you simply did 5 by 100 to get 1 by 20, which is still okay, I would say. Especially for, when I say it's okay, what I mean is those of you who marked B or those of you who marked C, you made a calculation mistake or you not even read properly. Like those who are marking 3 by 20, what I feel is they did 15 by 100. That means they read it as employed. So you're not even reading properly. So that's a note that you may want to make. Okay, Sanmeet has a question here. What is the level of this question? I would put this question close to 650, around that. The question is not tough, by the way. The thing that makes this tough is to translate the last line. I'm sure most of you would take 100, solve it, but most of you will also falter with the point that you did not read. It's not 5 by 100, it's 5 by 20. That's the only thing. Shine, as I told you, visualizing as a tree, it helps few people. Some people are just able to scribble it everywhere and get the answer. It's a personal preference. I prefer making a tree or a matrix to get the answer. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Please feel free to ask. Uh, I'll try to answer them before moving on to the next one. Because once I move to the next question, it's difficult to answer questions on the previous one. So anything at all, please feel free to ask. I'll pause for 30 seconds. If I see there are no more questions, then I'm going to move on to the next one. As I told you, Joydeep, I would say try a few tree question and metrics question. If you feel metrics is much more easy for you to visualize, go with the metrics way. I told you it's a personal preference. I'm not recommending anything here. But I strongly feel visualizing it in the form of a diagram is always helpful, Joydeep. So if it works metrics, use it using metrics. Okay, Vivek is saying please solve it via metrics. I'll take, okay. See, I'm going to jot down the information very quickly. I won't not spend more than 30 seconds to show you how it looks in a matrix. But what you need to do is you need to make a matrix like this. This is how you make it. Once you see there are two categories, born in C, not born in C, okay, employed, okay, unemployed, and this would be the total. When I say total, read it like this. You'll add these two and get this total. You'll add these two, you'll get this total. And when you add these two numbers out here, you'll get this total here. So you write down the totals here. Now, you know that the total we are assuming here is as 100. I'm doing it very quickly just to show you too. I won't take a lot of time. Now, and you solve the question like this only. All keep in mind the total value is always kept here. Okay. Now they're saying 4/5 of the residents are born in C. Born in C. 4/5 means the total. So 80 are born in C. Now, if 80 are born in C, then that means 20 are not born in C. So I'll write it like this. Okay. Now, of those who are born in C, 3/4 are employed. So 3/4 of 80, you'll do it here, 3/4 of 80. Okay. And you'll fill this with 60. If this is 60, this has to be 20 because 60 plus 20 is equal to 80. So I hope you understand how you're reading it. 75% of the cities are employed. So they're talking about all people who are employed. Okay. All people. So this value they're talking about. And they're saying that 75% of the total. So this becomes 75. Okay. Now this is 60. This is 75. So obviously this value has to be 15. Okay. If this is 15, this is 20, then whatever is remaining has to be here. So this has to be 5. And now you can find the fraction 5 by 20. So if you want to use using a matrix method, this is the way you do it. Okay, you make a 2 cross 2 table like this: born, not born, employed, unemployed. You add up the totals here. This total is the sum of these two. This total is the sum of these two. 75 is when you're adding it vertically, and 25 is again you're adding it vertically. I would strongly suggest try out both the methods and see which one works for you. Okay. With this, guys, I'll move on to the next question. I have a few more interesting ones, so I'm not going to spend more time here. So here's the third one, guys. Once again, you have 2 minutes to solve the question. Another 30 seconds, guys. Ten seconds. Okay, guys, now those who are done can start posting their answers. 'Okay, I've got a response. Piyush says it's C. Okay. Chinmay says D. Joydeep says B. Okay, so I've started getting different responses. Sanvit says A. Pranay says C. So again, I'm getting a lot of different answers. But from what I can see, most of you are saying that the answer should be C. I have a few D's and 75%. Okay, C. So I have majority of you saying the answer is C. Again, those of you who are attending it, guys, please respond. It's okay if you're wrong. That's totally fine. C, good. So see, your accuracy has improved, frankly speaking, from compared to the last questions. I can see a lot of improvement. Most of you are getting the correct answers, I will put it. Okay. Once again, this is a question which you can solve using a matrix or a tree, whatever you want to use. I'll show you a matrix again because I showed a tree in the previous one. Notice in this question, there are people who are taking popcorn, not taking popcorn, right? And we also have a 3D movie and not 3D movie. Though not 3D is not mentioned explicitly, but it's understood that all of them are not watching 3D, right? All of them are not watching 3D movies. So what you can do here is that you can, and I'm doing it a bit quickly because this is similar to the previous one. First thing, obviously, you could have noticed that all the information is given in percent. The final answer is also being asked in percent, which means that you can solve this question by taking 100. So you can say all the people who went to watch the movie, let me assume that to be 100. Okay, that's the first thing. Then what you can do is you can write it like this. You can say, if, say for example, if you're 3D or not 3D, there were no more comments. Okay, good. So you can write it like this: 3D, not 3D. Okay, popcorn, no popcorn. Okay, and once again, these are your total. If I have to write it, I'll write it like this: total. Okay. Now what I know is I've assumed all of them to be 100. So I'll write 100. Now let me read it sequentially. So on Sunday in a certain movie theater, of the total people who visited, 30% of them had tickets for 3D and they also took popcorn. Now they are talking about popcorn and 3D. So they're talking about this box. And 30% of what? Of all the total people who visit the theater. So you need to read very carefully. This 30% is with respect to what? All of them. So I'll say, okay, 30% of 100. So this is going to be 30. Okay, so I hope this is perfectly clear. Okay, reading carefully, properly understanding which, with respect to the percentage is with which the percent is with respect to which value is very important. Okay, now the second information is, I've scribbled a lot, so let me remove this a bit. Okay, the second information is if 25% of the people who had tickets for 3D films, okay, let me just pause here. 25% of what? Of the people who had 3D tickets. Okay, now notice this is the box, this is the part which represents all of them because I'll add these two values, right? This represents all of them who have watched, who have 3D tickets, right? But I don't know this value. I don't know it. Okay. So what you can do is you can assume this to be as something. So let's say you assume this to be as X. So this is the total number of people who are watching 3D movie. Okay. So how many of them are watching 3D and they are not having popcorn? If total is X, 30 have popcorn in 3D, then whatever is remaining must be the number of people who are watching 3D but not taking popcorn. Okay. Now the question is, if 25% of the people who had tickets, so I'll write like this: 25% of people who had tickets did not take popcorn. How many did not take popcorn? X minus 30 people did not take popcorn. Okay. This is the equation. I will not solve it because I'll read what I need to find out first. Don't go into solving blindly. First of all, understand what you need. What percent of the total people? Now notice what percent of the total people. So they're talking the denominator has to be 100. That's one. Had 3D tickets. So I want to know how many people out of 100 had 3D tickets. So they are basically asking me to find out 100 by all the people who had tickets. I'm looking for X by 100. That is all I'm looking for. Okay. So now you can solve this question very easily. You'll say 1 by 25% is 1 by 4 is equal to 30. Okay, either you take X this side or you multiply it, up to you. I'm doing it directly. So X minus X by 4 is equal to 30, or 3X by 4 is equal to 30. And you can cancel this out and say X is equal to 40. So the moment you get X equal to 40, you want to find out this, you can say it has to be 40%. So the answer in this case would be option C. Now tell me guys if this is perfectly clear or not. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask any questions at all. I can see Kartikeya saying that didn't get the question at all. Now, Kartikeya, is this now perfectly clear? See, the main thing about word problem questions, and believe me, you'll get a lot of word problem questions in the exam. Okay, so if you get the main thing about word problem questions is breaking it down. I know the agenda is not to talk about word problem questions, it's about taking numbers. But if you want to ace word problem questions, break it the way I'm breaking it. So I'm particularly focusing on what, with respect to what I need to find out, I'm making sure I write down exactly what I need to find out, and then I approach the question like in a methodical way. Now, if you have any questions, guys, please feel free to ask any questions at all. So Pujit is asking same method as before. Yes, Pujit, it's the same method as you can see. Okay, I can say Kartikeya has understood this. Okay, Jaydeep is asking, Jaydeep, I haven't tried it using a Venn diagram before. If you're doing a Venn diagram, what are you going to do? You're going to take popcorn, 3D, not 3D, and common people who are taking popcorn. Is that what you're trying to do? Let me know your thoughts. But I think this would be better. Venn diagram would be making this question complicated, I think. Okay, Ashwin says, I cannot understand the question stem. This question eats our time. If one cannot understand. Yes, so see, Ashwin, understand this. Like the way I solve questions whenever I'm taking a mock or whenever I'm taking a question in general, is I spend more time. If you'll notice, I spend a lot of time on the question only, breaking down the question. The mistake that a lot of people make is that they read something and they start solving. So the moment you take 100, a lot of people will start finding out 30% of 100, 25% of something. They'll start doing it. Don't do that. Jot down the information. That is the first step. And I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it. I've shown you exactly how I would have solved in the exam. Like you must have noticed, I paused after writing 25% of x is equal to x minus 30. I did not solve it. And in the exam also, I will not solve it because I don't know whether I need X or not. Let me see if there's anything else that might be they might be asking me about. There might be some other information which may give me X directly. It could be happen anything. Okay. So if you're solving a question like this, make sure that you break the question down. So Sanmeet is asking how to break question down. Sanmeet, as you can see, how did I break it? I took it sentence by sentence. I read a sentence, I write the information that is given in the sentence so that I don't have to read it twice. So all my information is on the paper in one go. Now, what I do with that information is something that I can decide later on. Okay. Any other question? This can be solved without metrics also. You can write a single line equation also to do it, guys. This is again, and I would classify it as a 650 level question between 650 to 700 because the words also here are tough. It's not easy. Though you might understand it's 100. A lot of you may not be able to break this down, these three information to get the answer. So guys, I can see people me asking me to doing in a number of ways. I would request you to try it once. If you have any problem, feel free to ask me. Uh, I will be more than happy to help you out. What I'm doing is I am just putting up my email ID. Okay. So if you want to ask any questions related to any other method, if you have tried it and not able to do it, feel free to write to me. I will be more than happy to answer it. And don't worry, we do answer within 24 hours. Okay, so if you have any other alternate method in this, which you would want to discuss with me later on, you want to show your method and want me to tell you whether it's correct or not, feel free to ask me, and I would help you with the alternate method definitely. Okay. I don't see any more questions. So what I'm going to do is, and again, this ID, guys, is for any other purpose also. So if you want to talk in general also, any query related to GMAT, GMAT Prep, GMAT Wiz, if you want to work with us, feel free. You can use this email ID to write to us. Okay, we'll definitely help you out. Okay, Oscar is saying I have a question. Yes, Oscar, please ask. What's your question very quickly? Yes, please ask. Okay, Oscar, I'm waiting for your query. What is it? Yes, they're saying what percent of total people. So I'm looking at the total number of people. Total number of people are 100. Had 3D tickets. Okay. So number of people who had 3D tickets is all people who had 3D plus popcorn 3D, not popcorn. So that is why I need to add all this up. So basically I'm looking for this number which is there. I hope that answers your query, Oscar. What percent off, so with respect to the total number of people? Okay, that is the meaning. That is how you translate it. If you have any questions, Oscar, type it down. I will very quickly answer it by typing it down. Okay, I am moving on to the next one. Here's the next one, guys. Oscar, if you have any other questions, please feel free to post it. I will type and respond to it. Not a problem. Okay. But here's your fourth question. It's an easy one. You should be able to do it in 1.5 minutes. Oscar, you're reading it. As I'm going just for 1 second back, 30% when they're saying of them had tickets and they also took popcorn. So you have to read it in one go, Oscar. You have to read it in one go. 30% is not just people who have 3D tickets. That is the mistake that you're making. They have 3D tickets and they also took popcorn. So I'm talking about the whole people, not just 30% of 3D tickets. Okay. I hope that answers your query. So here's the fourth question, guys. Uh, try it out. I'm going to give you about 1.5 minutes to solve this. Oscar, there's no difference. Okay, I'll type it down for you. For this question, guys, you have 1.5 minutes. It's an easy one. Okay, another 30 seconds, guys, very quickly. So I can already see people have started responding. Okay, I can see a lot of C's. Okay, 10 seconds. If there's anyone else who would want to answer, please do so. Okay, great. I can see a lot of C's. Guys, I'll pause now. Uh, uh, so if there's anyone else, quickly put in a response and I'll start discussion. Okay, okay, I can see C's. Guys, all of you fell for the trap. All of you fell for the trap. I would want you to, I'll give you another 10 seconds. Can anyone tell me what trap did all of you fall for? I'm saying you all, most of you made a mistake. What is the mistake that you made? Atif says E, Shayan says D, Joydeep says E. Okay, Joydeep, Atif, Shayan, all three of you gave different answers. So Sushant says A. Sorry, Shudhanshu says A. So can you tell me why did you? Very good. That's absolutely good, guys. See, the reason for giving this question was not to test you on unit digits. The reason to give you this question was to tell you, hey, taking numbers is fine, but read the constraint properly. What I mean by that is that almost more, like as you can see, almost all of you marked the answer as C except for two people. When you see X is an integer, most of you end up thinking only about positive integers. You don't even think about anything else. If you fall under this category, guys, it's time that you start thinking in a different way. When you're reading a constraint, when you see an information given about a statement, like for example, X is an integer, just an integer, write down what they're talking about. That's what I do, by the way. Okay. So I write down only integer mentioned. So I should be open to positive integer. I should be open to negative integer. Well, X could be zero also. So I should be open to all three kind of values. Okay. I should not think only in terms of positive integers. If the question would have said, hey, uh, X is a positive integer, okay, then I would know, okay, I'm just looking for positive integers. I don't need to worry about anything else. Okay. If the question would have said X is a non-negative integer, what values would I consider, guys? What's the difference between these two? Or is there any difference between these two? Or do they mean the same thing? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me what's the difference between a positive integer and a non-negative integer? Okay, I can. Shine, if you took 0, that's fine, but you should have taken some other numbers also to get the answer. Maybe one. One would have, I think, given you a different answer. Okay, Kalp says, okay, Kalp, when you say 0 to infinity, are you talking about positive numbers or non-negative numbers? Non-negative numbers greater than -1. Non-negative includes 0. Guys, so that's very good. So see, you understand this. It's only that you kind of sometimes subconsciously don't apply it. So you know, non-negative includes 0. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth till infinity. And positive numbers, they start from 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 right? So whenever you see a question like this, where you always need to write down the case that you need to consider while solving the question, okay? If you don't write it, you will make a mistake. I can guarantee you that. I've been giving these questions for a long time. Every time I get the same response because people forget about negative and 0. Okay. One more thing which is important is a lot of people subconsciously also think, hey, if I have 5 to the power 0, the units digit, or let me write it in the next slide. If you have, so when you see this expression, 4 to the power 35 to the power x plus 3451 to the power 32 plus 9856 to the power 2x, you understand when you're finding the unit digit, you just focus on the unit digit, right? You don't need to worry about the digits that are after that, right? So you can write this whole expression as 5 to the power x plus 1 to the power 32 plus 6 to the power 2x. And obviously 1 to the power 32 is 1. But a lot of people, they start thinking, hey, 5 to the power x is always 5, 6 to the power 2x is always 6. Obviously, it's 6, 5 only when you know x is a positive integer. You should know that. All the power that is given, that power should be a positive integer. If it is not a positive integer, you will not get the answer. It won't be 5 and 6. That is what you need to keep in mind. Okay. That's a very important thing. You may make a mistake, you forget it. Now, when I know it's an integer and all possibilities exist, 0, positive, negative, well, for positive, it's very easy. If it's a positive integer, you know this will be 5, this will be 1, this will be 6. Okay. So the unit digit here would be 6 plus 6, 12. You'll say, hey, 2 is the unit digit, which most of you said because you thought about only positive integer. Now let me take 0. Now 5 to the power 0 is 1. This is 1. And 6 to the power 0 is also 1. So this turns out to be 3, right? So see, you're getting two contradictory answers. And since you're getting two contradictory answers, the answer has to be not C, but D. So D is your correct answer, cannot be determined. So why did I give you this question? I gave this question to tell you that plugging in numbers, or the art of picking numbers, also involves knowing the concept and the range properly. Okay, so when you are taking numbers, make sure that you double check or write it down. That's the best process. A lot of people who say, hey, I have to solve question 2 times. You have to solve it 2 times because you make these small mistakes. Okay, I'm being very frank here. I'm telling you, if you improve these things properly, your accuracy will improve. You will stop making those silly mistakes that you end up making. Okay, so as a process, always first step, write down what is the range that is given and then solve the question keeping the range in mind. Okay. If you have any doubts here, please feel free to ask. If there aren't any, I'll move on to the next question, guys. So I'll wait for about 30 seconds, and if I don't see any more queries, I'll move on to the next one. And while waiting for the query, I'll just reiterate the same fact. You know your stuff, you know your concepts. Only while applying, just keep a have a presence of mind of these small things. If you do it, you'll definitely be able to avoid silly mistakes. Yes, Joydeep, it's zero because the point to the two there is the tenths place. Okay, and zero would turn out to be the units place. I hope that answers your query, Joydeep. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So I have a nice word problem question for you. I told you I'll give you a time and work question also. So here's a time and work question for you. Take your time. I'll give you 2.5 minutes for this. And once you're done with it, we are going to discuss it. But please wait for 2.5 minutes. Don't post your responses in the chat, guys. Okay. Let others solve also. I don't want others to get biased with your answer. Okay, guys, you have 30 seconds. Then after 30 seconds, you all can start posting your responses. Ten seconds. Okay, guys, those who are done can start posting their responses. Okay, I've started getting responses, which is good. Sushant says D, Abhishek D, Nisha D, Naina D. Okay, so all of you have posted D. Okay, so how did you find this question? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Better than the previous ones that we were doing? Whoa, I have a lot of Ds now. Okay. Okay, guys, so tell me, since all of you are getting D, did you find this question easy or was it difficult, too difficult to solve? Okay, Joydeep says, guessed D or E, tried solving backwards, putting T is equal to 15 and realized T is equal to 15 was too small. Okay. Okay, Joydeep, these are some of the things I would say you can try and avoid. I can see most of the people are saying easy and some medium, but time consuming. So, guys, the question is easy, frankly speaking. The question here, I would put again this between 600 to 650. The question, the only thing is in the time constraint when you're solving this question, it is very important that you are able to break this down, okay, properly of what are we doing here. Number two is since you need to take a value in time and work questions also, you can always take the work as something, okay, and we are going to use just one formula to solve this question, which is work is equal to rate multiplied by the time taken. So if you're not aware of it, kindly jot it down. If you know it, that's good. And I'm going to use different versions of it. Okay, so I'm going to write rate is equal to work upon time. I'm going to use this. And maybe if I have to use time, I might use that also. But important thing is when you're solving a time and work question, is to keep this in mind that you cannot add times. Okay, so you cannot add 12 hours, 15 hours. In a time and work question, what we can add is the rate. So for example, if Ross is working at a rate of say 10 units per hour and Jack is working at a rate of say 5 units per hour, then I can add that and say that they together are working 15 units per hour. Okay, that is very, very important. You should be able to understand that part, that rates can be added, time cannot be added. And not for just this question, a lot of time in work question, I've seen people adding time. Don't do it if you're doing it. Okay. Now let me jot down the information first. So if I'm solving this in the exam, what I'll do is I'll first of all write down, okay, Ross can paint the wall of his dormitory in 12 hours. So I'll write this down. Okay, Ross, he can do the work in 12 hours. His friend Ryan and Jack can, and each working alone, that's important, can paint the same wall in 15 hours and TR. So I'll very quickly jot that down in the paper so that I don't have to go back again to this all this information. Jack TRs. Okay. Now they're saying on a Sunday morning, Ross starts to paint his dormitory working alone, and 4 hours later, Ryan joins him. So the moment I read this, what I do is I know this is a question where somebody will be joining, somebody will be leaving. So I'm preempting that. I would say, okay, Ross has worked for 4 hours, and then Ryan is joining him. Okay, so that information has also been written. Okay, after another 4 hours, Jack joins them. Now notice Ross has already worked for 4 hours. Ryan joins, and after 4 hours, Jack joins. So Ross and Ryan, they have worked for additional 4 hours. That means I can say Ross has worked for 8 hours from starting from Sunday when he started. He worked for 4 hours here. He worked for 4 hours here. And Ryan has worked for 4 hours till Jack joined. Please let me know if any part of it is not clear, okay? And when they are working together, they paint the wall in 20 minutes. Now, obviously, I need to convert this into an hour because all of this is given in hours. So I'll say, okay, 20 minutes is basically 20 by 60, which is 1 by 3 hour. So I can say all of them worked for 1 by 3 hour. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because now I know all of them worked for how many hours. So I know this is 8 plus 1 by 3, which is 24 by 3 hours. Ryan worked for 4th is a 12 plus 1, 13, 13 by 3 hours. And Jack worked for 1 by 3 hours. So I have all the information that I need. Okay, they're asking me to find out the value of T. Okay, I don't have any other information with me. Okay, now somebody's asking, work always one, what does this have to do with picking numbers? That's a good question. I'm going to now tell you what does this have to do with taking numbers. Now understand, a lot of people solve this question using the work as unit, 1 unit. Now the problem with 1 unit is that most of the thing that you end up getting is a fraction. Okay, and I don't like working, frankly, I don't think anybody likes working with fraction. So in a time and work question, what you can do is you can take the work as the LCM of the numbers that you have with you, the time that they're taking. Like if it's 12 hours, 15 hours, you can take the LCM of 12 and 15 as your work. And if you see any fractions in your time anywhere, you can take that also into account. So for example, if I have to take my work, I can say, hey, let me take my work as the LCM of 12 and 15. The LCM of 12 and 15 would be 60. But see, this is the time. So while finding the rate, I will come across this 3 also, 1 by 3 also. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my work as say 180 units, 60 times 3. Now, why did I take my work as 120 units? Because now whatever value that I'll get will all be integers. If I have to write the rate of Ross, okay, rate of Ross, rate is work upon time, 12. Now see, this is easy to deal with. I'll get 15 very easily. Unit per hour, okay. What is the rate of Ryan? 180 by 15, which is 12 unit per hour. Easy numbers that you can work with. And you know that your total work is 180 units. So you're not working with one, you're not working with fractions. You don't know Jack, so you'll wait for Jack. You don't know how much time Jack is taking. That's fine. You don't know the rate of Jack. That's okay. So I'll write, I don't know the rate of Jack. Now see, I know that Ross's time that his rate is 15. Rate is 15 and he has worked 24 by 3 hours. So how much work has he done? Rate multiplied by time. 15 multiplied by 24 by 3. Okay. So I'll get this as 120. I know the rate of Ryan is 12 and he's working for 13 by 3 hours. So I can say work is equal to 13 by 3, which is the time, and the rate, which is 12. I'll cancel this out. I'll get 52. So notice till this point, these two people have completed 177 units of work. They have completed 177 units. The total work is 180 units. So who is doing the remaining work? The remaining work must have been done by Jack. Jack took 1/3 hour. So I can say that the efficiency of Jack is, if he's doing he's doing the remaining 3 units work. So the rate is work. He did 3 units. He did it in 1 by 3 hour, which would give you 9 units per hour. So now you know the rate of Jack. You know the work is 180. So the time T for him to complete the work will be 1 upon 9, which is 20. So the answer in this case would be option D. So I hope it answers your question. Why are we not taking work as one? You can take work as one. You will still get the answer. Let me be very clear here. Some people are comfortable working with one, but there will be a lot of questions like these and a lot of questions similar to these where you can take the work as the LCM of the number. So what I did here was, somebody's asking how I got work. I took 12 and 15. The LCM of this is 60. Okay. I knew that I will be somewhere, once I get the rate, I will be multiplying it with time. Okay, so I'll have to cancel this 3, as you can notice here. So I simply took a multiple of 3. So I took 60 times multiple of 60, 60 times 3, 180 as the work. So Oscar, I hope that answers your query. Rohit, you can take 60, but now I hope you have understood why I did not take 60, because I know somewhere along the line I'll have to cancel it with a 3 because there's a denominator with 3. So I took it as 180. Yes, I agree that we have to take the LCM, but a lot of people, the way you asked me the question, right? You asked me the question, why not take one? A lot of people start taking one. That is what I want to avoid. That you don't take one, you take the LCM. You take the LCM and you also decide what number should you take. You should take 60 only, or you should take a multiple of that. Okay, so I hope it answers your query. Okay, any other questions? So long story short, keep in mind in a time and work question, you can take LCM to solve the question. Okay, you don't need to always resort to a unit work to solve the question. When you're taking the LCM, you can take the direct LCM as you want to, or what you can do is you can see if there are any other fractions, see what is there in the denominator, and include that in the LCM also, so that you get always work with whole numbers and not get a fraction. Any other question, guys? Chronic plant, I would say, see, you can call it picking numbers. If you don't want to call it picking numbers, that is totally okay. But I would call it picking numbers because after taking the LCM, I had to decide whether I should multiply it with 3 or not. With 60 also, you would have got a fraction. Okay, so it's okay. I'm not saying it has to definitely fall. There's a gray area out here. Joydeep would say, would you work? But no, I will not. Joydeep, I rarely use backward method to solve questions. I sometimes do it in mostly fraction questions if I have to, where their successive fractions are being involved. Otherwise, I don't use backward methods, especially for time and work. Okay, Islam, if you don't know what is LCM, I would say this is least common multiple, and that is something I would say you can go through the video lessons to understand what is LCM and GCD. If you're starting your prep now, don't worry, you will come across these things wherever you want to start your prep with. If you want to know more about it, I've added my email ID here. You can use that and we can talk about it, Islam. Okay. So Joydeep, I hope that answers your query. I don't see any more questions. I've answered why we are taking 180 also. So guys, we are almost short of time. So let's do one last question very quickly. Uh, okay, let's do this one. And this is going to be the last for the day. Once again, you have 2 minutes to solve this question. And once this is done, I'm open for any Q&A session, any questions that you would like to ask. Okay, guys, another 30 seconds. Then you can start posting your responses. Okay, guys, now you can start posting your responses. So I already have one response. What about the others? Okay, Nisha, Ashwin, Shudhanshu, Saurav. All of you think that the answer should be Shine says E. Okay. Anyone else? Then we can start the discussion. Joydeep says A. Okay. Okay. Lot of E's. 1A. Vivek says A. Okay. Okay. How many are guessing? How many of you are guessing the answer here? Shruti says A. Rohit says E. Okay. Oh, okay. So let me tell you the purpose of giving the question. I mean, in the meanwhile, people are responding. So I wanted to end the session by giving you a question where I talk about when should you not start taking numbers blindly. Okay. Uh, Whenever you have an expression and say some additional constraint which you're using to solve the question, or maybe more than one constraint when you're using to solve the question, sometimes it may backfire by taking a lot of numbers. What I mean by that is you may have to take a lot of cases before you get to the one that would be your answer. Okay, like in this case, if any of you would have tried taking numbers, you might have started with one, you might have started with two, three, and you would have realized, hey, I'm not getting the answer. I'm all every time getting zero. But the question says n is not divisible by 5. So what value of x should I take such that n is not divisible by 5, right? Because the question says n is not divisible by 5. So if you're taking x, you have to take a number such that it is not divisible by 5, and Sudhanshu has given the correct answer, which is good. So one small thing that you can do while solving the question, and I would strongly suggest that you do it, is you simplify your expression. Like notice the first question where we did also, I wrote p square minus p, if you remember, as p into p minus 1. And that made me very clear that these are two consecutive numbers. Okay, so if you're solving a question and if you're not sure, if you after putting one or two values, if you are getting, say, different results, or not the result that you want, if you're not getting n is not divisible by 5, then that should be an indicator for you. You're wasting your time. Very quickly simplify the expression to get the answer. Okay, so what you really need to do is when you see this, notice x square minus 3x, x square minus 3x is present in both the terms. Okay, so what you can do is you can take that as common, x square minus 3x as common, and you would get x square, and because it's a square, so you'll be left with 1 x square minus 3x plus 2. So notice I've taken x square minus 3x as common. I hope this is perfectly clear to everyone. Okay, I can take x common from here and write it as x times x minus 3. Here you notice it's a quadratic equation, so now I'm removing the brackets. So notice this is x square minus 2x minus x plus 2. And I'm showing all these steps so that there's no confusion. Ideally, you should be able to write this directly. So you would end up getting, if you take x common again, and you take minus 1 common, you would get this. And finally, after all the simplification, again, guys, these are for people who are seeing quadratic for the first time or they are not sure what is happening. But ideally, the second and third step, you can do it in one step only, and you will end up getting this. And whenever you have a series of expressions like this, it always makes sense to arrange them properly. So you can see x minus 3, x minus 2, x minus 1, and x. And this is not divisible by 5. That means, and if you notice x minus 3, x minus 2, x minus 1, x, they are 4 consecutive integers, which Sudhanshu Kalp, they all pointed out, right? They are not divisible by 5, the consecutive integers. And if it is not divisible by 5, that means the 4 numbers that you are taking, none of them should be 5. So now see, you were, how should I put it? You might be tempted in the starting to take numbers. But if you see an expression which can be simplified, the learning which I want to give you from this question is that is simplify it. Because simplification at certain cases can help you decide what numbers to take. Now, if you don't want to work with variables and find out the remainder, what you can do now is say, okay, there are 4 consecutive integers. It should not have a 5 in it. So my numbers could be 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 consecutive numbers. Okay, and it doesn't matter, guys. Take whatever you want. You'll always get the same answer, like 11, 12, 13, 14, or take 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever you want to take it. Doesn't matter. The answer will be the same in each case. So that is the advantage of a question. This is a must be true kind of question where the answer will definitely come. So once you know what kind of numbers you're looking for, there are 4 consecutive. Once you have made that inference, take any 4 consecutive numbers that is not divisible by 5, that does not contain a 5. Now you can divide this by 5. Okay, this is 24 by 5, right? Yeah, this is 24 by 5. So the remainder in this case would be 4. Okay, so final learning here, I'll reiterate it again. Number 1, if you see an expression can be simplified and you can see it properly, simplify it. Okay, or if you take a value and it is not working for you because of this small constraint, because you are looking for a specific case, and after putting one value, 2 value, you see, hey, it's not working, so I'm wasting time, then simplify it. Either of these 2 cases should be an indicator for you that you need to simplify. Okay, now once you have simplified it, after simplifying it, you will see a pattern like this. Or if you don't even see a pattern, you will know what kind of numbers you need to put. Okay, so I hope this is clear. I can see a few questions. Uh, no, I haven't taken x. Obviously, Ashish, obviously the value that we are taking x is a positive integer, so we'll take something which will help me get the remainder. So I have taken x as 4 in this case. So I've taken x as 4. So x minus 1 is 3, x minus 2 is 2, x minus 1 is 1. So I've taken care of that. Yes, Ashish, you're correct. It should be greater than 3. Let me see some other comments which are there. Yeah, yeah, 0 is divisible by 5. I agree. So what? So I didn't understand your question. 0 is definitely divisible by 5, but I'm looking for a number which is not divisible by 5. And x is a positive integer. So a positive integer starts from 1. It does not start from 0. So I hope you are aware of these two concepts. If you have any doubts, please ask. Let me know if this is clear or not, guys. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So what I'm going to do, guys, is just give me one sec. I'm going to show you how you can take a quiz on this. I told you at the end of the session, I'll tell you how you can take a quiz. So very quickly, let me show it. So if you want to learn and apply whatever you have done today, okay, what you can do is you can go to our platform. And this is, first of all, I'm showing for our students who are viewing it. The students who are viewing it, you go to your study plan page and you'll see a section called Final Frontier. And in that, just one second, guys. I hope you can see me. Yeah, you can see me. Great. In that, what you'll notice is there's a section called Live Session Quizzes. You can go here and take the quiz if you want to. Okay, this is for our students. If you are, say, if you're a free trial user or people who are registering for the first time or who haven't bought our course, even you can take those quizzes. What you need to do is once you log in to your page, you go to your study plan page. The link is given here, study plan. Go to it, go to free trial. Okay, and at the bottom of the free trial, you'll notice something called live session quizzes. Okay, this is completely free for all of you. So if you want to try it out, definitely go and try and see whether you can get questions correct or not. Yes, Joydeep, that's what I'm saying. Because if you put 1, 2, 3, you will get, say, 0. And if you put 0, then you are not getting a number that is divisible by 5. I hope that answers your query. Uh, So I hope you guys have understood how to access it. I can see a few queries. I'll answer them. If you have any other queries, guys, please ask. Okay, please feel free to ask. I hope you have understood how to take these quizzes. For free trial users who are not our students, you can still take the quiz by going your free trial account, going to the study plan page, and going to the live session part and take the quiz. I would strongly suggest that you do it. And if any of you want to talk to us either through mail or a phone call, I'm also showing that information on the screen. You can write to us or you can just WhatsApp us and we'll get back to you. Once again, guys, I'm just adding this also very quickly, that if you want to talk to us regarding your GMAT prep, okay, at any point of time, at any phase, wherever you are, if you want to talk to us, how you can improve, or if you want to work with us for your GMAT, I would suggest you can book a session with us, and you'll get a free one-on-one session, and we can discuss how we can move forward. Yes, Islam, it's a GMAT Viz only. It's GMAT Viz. Okay, so I can see a few questions. I have a question which says, I'm not familiar with that algebraic pattern. What do you suggest for improving that knowledge? So see, what I usually suggest is that whenever you're starting your prep, the first thing that you should solidify is the basics of the basics, like knowing what are fractions, knowing what are simple equations, linear equations, learning how to resolve uh, quadratic equations, and exponents. These are the basic building blocks. So if you go through our course, if you log into our course, you'll notice that is something what we start off with, because that's the basic. If you don't know how to work with algebra, you will face a lot of problem in almost all the questions, because it is used everywhere, be it number properties, word problem. You go anywhere, you will find the application of algebra. So if you're starting your prep, guys, I would strongly suggest that you start off by making sure that you understand the basics of algebra, like linear equations, special equations, exponents, um, quadratic equations. Once you're done with this, learn a bit of translation, go through word problems, understand ratio percentages, and then deep dive into whatever you want to. Then you can do inequalities, number properties, whatever you want to do. That's absolutely fine. Okay. If you're starting your prep, if you want to start with us, if you like the way we are teaching, I would strongly suggest register with us, call us, book a call, or write to us, and we can discuss how we can help you improve. So we start from scratch, guys. Everything. It's a personalized course, as I told you. So, for example, if you're somebody who's starting from scratch and want to learn everything, we provide that. It's an intelligent course. It basically adapts to the way your ability is. Okay. If you're somebody who is in the mid of your prep, who have actually prepared before, if you want to improve, then also the course will customize itself. So if you do well, we'll start removing things from your courses, so you will take less time to do it. Okay. Um, if you liked the session, guys, I would suggest like the video, and so that everyone can benefit from it. Okay. What Kamalpreet, just one sec, I'll share that with you. So somebody's asking about the fee structure. So guys, I'm sharing the online. So we have both plans, online plans and private tutoring also. So I'm sharing the link of both of them. Okay. This is the plan for the basic one. You should be able to get it now. I'm also pinning it on top. So if you want to use it, you can. And there's also a private tutoring plan if somebody wants to work with us. If you like the way I'm teaching, if you want to work with me, where I teach you everything from scratch, then I would say you can look at the private tutoring plans also, which I'm sharing. Okay. Both the plans are there. If you want to talk before buying it, guys, as I told you, I've already shared the Calendly link with you. You can use the Calendly link, book a session with us, and we can help you exactly tell you how you can improve. Okay, Pranay is asking, can you provide the two questions even without solutions if you're on? So guys, I'm just going back and just showing you the two questions. You can take a screenshot if you want to. This is one of the questions. This is question 8. If anybody wants to take a screenshot, take a screenshot, or obviously this will be there in the video also. So if you want to try it out, you can try it out. Uh, okay. And I am now also showing you the 7th question very quickly. This is the 7th question. So I've shown you both the questions. It should be on your screen now. You can take the screenshot of these two questions and solve it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Joydeep is asking, I'm weak on algebraic translation. Any suggestion? Joydeep, I'm going to say something which is again, how should I put it? There's no secret trick as such. Okay, follow. One thing is follow the right course. I don't know what resources are you using to learn these, but I use a resource which teaches you this. Uh, so, for example, like in our course, and you can use anything. Okay, but by the way, just I want to tell you that in our course, the way I'm showing you how to solve here, I show these in my course also live in each and every booster files. If you go through it, you'll see step by step methodically showing you how to translate any question, be it algebraic translation or word problem translation. You need to use a course like that. It could be, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be GMAT Wiz, but find a good resource which teaches you this and then apply it, practice it so that you get used to doing it. Okay, just seeing it one time, it's like you did it in this session right now. Okay, but that doesn't mean that this is enough. You now need to search for questions like these. And again, you can use GMAT Club also. There are a lot of questions on GMAT Club. So you can go to GMAT Club, filter questions based on, say, algebra if you're, and any topic, be it a general algebra topic, and solve questions where translations are involved. Okay. Okay. Any other question, guys? Islam, yes, we teach both quant and verbal. So it's an end-to-end service. You need anything, we'll help you out with it. Be it quant, be it verbal, be it private tutoring, everything will work up. Any other questions, anyone? Okay, Kartiki, I just signed up. What did you sign up for? Is it the 7-day access? Are you talking about GMAT Club access or anything else? So guys, I have 5 minutes. So if you have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. And after that, I am going to end the session. So you have another 5 minutes. Please ask any other question that you have. So I've shared everything. I've shared the link of our say, booking a session with us. I've shared the link of our plans. Okay. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. Yes, Kamalpreet, I'm back to the Q&A page. You should be able to see it now. And guys, once again, if you like the session, kindly like this video so that it helps everybody. It reaches a lot of people. The more likes we have, the more it reaches to people. If you have booked using the Calendly link, we will get a notification for it and we'll get in touch with you. Kalp, unfortunately, we don't provide any IR videos or questions, but we still, if any student needs help in IR questions, we are okay and we can help them on that. But at this point of time, we don't provide because IR does not require a lot of preparation, frankly, in my opinion. If you improve your quant, frankly speaking, IR you can learn in 2 days at the max. You don't need to do a lot of questions. Official questions on IR is more than enough. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So guys, another 1 minute, then I'm going to end the session. Any more questions? Okay, I don't see any. So I'm going to end the session now. All the best, guys, for your prep. And once again, if you need any help, please feel free to get in touch with us. Okay, so all the best, guys.